We are in the Italian firm of lawyers Fabio Santoro and Oreste Maria Petrido, specialists in corporate advocacy with a focus on all things tax planning and asset protection. When we talk about the tax burden in Italy, we know that it is the torment of so many people and so many people. Also think about internationalizing their business. You do exactly that. After 10 years, you have an office in London. And you give all these tax strategy tools to be able to open a company there. Here, Lawyer Petrillo, what are the advantages?
The advantages are manifold. We can summarize the fiscal advantages and the image advantages. The tax advantages, because a LTD in the UK pays taxes upon reaching 21 months from incorporation, pays them 19%, has the obligation to register the VAT number upon reaching 85 stars, although registration wants to come even earlier, and strong debureaucratization. This means that the entrepreneur does not have to hire staff just to devote himself to the infernal machine that is the bureaucratic one. Instead, the image advantage is because an LTD in the UK, compared to other companies in other parts of the world, we can make example of Malta, but also other nations, gives an image, an authority of better, greater, so a brand authority of one's brand that is really very amplified. And then we have the opportunity to address an audience that is the international 3/4 of the world speak the Anglo-Saxon language.
The much lower tax rates, lower bureaucracy costs, a picture that is obviously certainly understandable of the advantage it can bring, so there is no need to go that far to look for tax havens.
Absolutely not. Also because having your LTD in the UK then allows you with more ease to face the offshore world as well, because you have the possibility to open offshore accounts through the various former British protectorates.
From what volume of business might an entrepreneur find it advantageous to make this choice in partnership?
Obviously, it's a given to say for small and medium-sized companies, but also for micro companies, because the costs compared to those in Italy are significantly lower. You don't pay notary fees. You can even pay £1 of share capital, then other significantly lower costs compared to opening an SRL in Italy.
So not a privilege for a few, but an opportunity really for everyone who absolutely also want to think about a more internationalized society. Mr. Santoro, another very delicate element, very sensitive for Italians and for everyone in short, is the defense and protection of one's assets. Here too there are advantages. Can you explain what they are?
The main advantage is to make the asset being protected significantly less attackable by any type of creditor, whether it is the IRS or a private creditor. A legal instrument in the United Kingdom may be the filter needed to separate the object of protection, which is assets. Now, whether it is liquid assets, a real estate asset matters little compared to what is the possibility of direct attention and aggression by any creditor. In fact, many of our clients come to us precisely for this kind of protection.
Let's talk about assets. What level of assets, amount of assets can be interesting to consider this possibility?
At the abstract level, there is no minimum quantity of assets for which dutiful and effective protection can be obtained, of course. The quantity of the assets affects the quality of the protection of the instrument that is put in place to protect them. I repeat, whether it is a protection of liquid assets, the liquid matters little. Of course, if you are protecting a few thousand euros, the instrument put in protection will certainly be less effective than a more organic, more entrenched, more powerful for large assets. In that case, the protection becomes significantly higher and the possibility of protection extremely high.
International law, we know, is becoming more and more stringent. What suggestions can you make?
Primarily that of not operating independently by doing everything from home, thinking that the simplicity of opening an LTD corresponds to an easy one area even of the legal instrument taken in itself. Secondly, to be protected and followed by a professional, possibly a professional rooted in the territory in which you intend to internationalize its business, because the professional rooted in the territory brings that degree of real-world experience that so many people who speak so abstrusely about legal instruments they do not know, following legal concepts they have barely read from some magazine but would not know how to translate into the real world.
It is clear that by addressing the professional like you who also already have an office in London, it is clear that you are familiar with the topic. One last question before we close this chat. There is a lot of talk about Brexit. How does Brexit affect these choices of protecting capital or to create companies?
The fears that circulate around Brexit for many of the entrepreneurs are purely psychological fears, but they have no practical repercussions at the legal level or at the economic level. The types and instruments put in place to safeguard assets or facilitate their business internationally remain absolutely unchanged.
Thank you, Avvocato Santoro and Avvocato Petrillo, for your time, for the valuable information you have given us, which I am sure will have been valuable to many. At least for me it was. And at this point, we just have to wish you well.
Thank you.